Hello explorers and welcome to another video. Today we are going to talk about JBang. And JBang is actually something that you can use to simplify your Java workflow. So if you have used Ant, Gradle or Maven, you know that there is a lot of setup to get those workflows going. They have some structure and could be good in some situations. And JBang is another alternative to those. But we are going to go into a little bit of an example here. So if we switch over and look at this little project here, you see that I have an empty directory. There is nothing in this directory. And I have installed JBang on my system. So first off, I will install the JBang wrapper. As with Gradle, you have a wrapper for your command. So I put this in Tools and JBang, and then you have bin, and then JBang, and install wrapper. Or perhaps it's wrapper install. It's wrapper install. Wrapper install. So now I have the wrapper. And you see here you got a directory, JBang with the JBang jar, and then command line utilities to run these. And this is just to simplify it for me. You can run this command anywhere if you have that in your path. I didn't put it in my path at the moment. So let's start with a simple example here. JBang init hello.java. So now I will initialize a Java file I call hello. And if we look in this Java file, you see a very typical example of a hello world in Java. So you see here you have a main method, it's a public class called hello, and it's a Java class. And you see up here, you see something strange. This is something that tells you to run usr bin env and then JBang with some commands after it. And this actually tells the system that you should run JBang with the current file that you specify with all the rest of the arguments. And that means that in a proper Linux environment, you can run this as a shell command. So you have a shell system here that can actually run JBang right off the top. But if I do this in Windows, it wouldn't work. I have tried it in MSys2 and in GV, and it doesn't work in those environments. But if we run JBang hello world down here, it will take this file, compile it, and run it for us. And you see also in the next line here says deps, and this is dependencies. So you can add dependencies to your running workflow in order to show, to use them in your packages. So let's do a little bit of an init here. So JBang init-t CLI, test CLI Java, for instance. If we run that, we will get another example here, and that has a dependency to Pico CLI. And you see here that you have some extra command information, and you have some parameters that goes into the greeting. And in this main, we run the command line, and this call here will tell us hello with a greeting. So that's the business logic of this command. So up here, we tell it what we want to get in. The first parameter in is index 0. It's a greeting to print, and its default value is world. So this will be world if I don't do anything. So if I run JBang test CLI, it will say hello world. And if I put in hello Daniel, or then it will tell you that, or perhaps hello explorer. And we will have that working as well. So that's the example here. And the only thing in order to use this dependency up here, you just had to put in the maven repository dependency as a Gradle syntax just to fetch it and run it. I have already run this before, so it has already fetched that. But let's try something that I haven't used before and see if it actually fetches. So JBang, and now here is a really cool one. If you do org Apache, for instance, and then we have PDF box, a tooling that I use a lot at work. So I'm very familiar with this. And then we do 2.0.19, and then, and I want to have the app version of that. And then I want to run test to PDF. Let's see if that works. It downloads the PDF box app dependency. And let's see if it runs it. See here, I got a result back as if I were running that command, and it tells me what I could be running. So text to PDF is the command I'm looking for. And now I get what I can do with it. So let's do this, and we say font size 20, and then we have the test PDF is what we want to create, and then we can take this hello Java, for instance. So now I have in one line, let's see here, font size was a bit with large S. So now I have with one line downloaded a dependency and run a command in order to create a PDF of the first thing that we saw over there. So, and there we have our PDF. So this is what was created by just that command. So we can create the text PDF with one of our examples here. So it was very simple to run something from the network directly in our system. And another interesting part of this is that you can have actually JBang aliases. And then you can put up different things that you run often, or things that you want to be able to run from the command line as an alias. So if I create an alias that says, for instance, I want to run JBang hello world, and I want to call that hello, it will run that for me. So that's built into this system as well. Another interesting thing is if I run JDK list, it will actually give me all the installed JDKs in my system. At the moment I don't have any, so I can install, let's say 15 here, and that will download the JDK 15 to my system and make that able to run in my system. And it takes a little while, so I'll soon be back here. So now we have run and installed JDK 15, and we see now that we have JDK 15. That means that I can run my commands using a specific JDK version if I like. So now we have installed a JDK that we can use with our system here, but I want to try something a little bit more difficult, or perhaps something more interesting. And if we go over to the site for this, so this is the JBang dev and their repository, and here we can see that we have in the JBang sources main resources, there you have a few init scripts. So we have this hello init script that we ran first, we have this CLI init script, and then we can see that we have QCLI, QMetrics, and QREST, and that's Quarkus things. So the developers behind JBang also works for Quarkus, so they have that built in. CLI, we have already seen one example of that. So let's try a REST server in Quarkus. So JBang, then we want to init -t q rest, and then we can do test rest Java. So that will initialize that. And if we look at this REST server here, we see that we get the server, we get some dependency here with the REST easy. We can add more dependencies if we like. So we got in this template more things. And we also have some Java options to run it. And you see that this is a simple hello that we can run. So if we do JBang test REST, if I can type, and yeah, Java, it will compile that and start running this REST Quarkus example. So if we switch over to our browser here, we can just look at this template so you get a feel for what that does. You see here that the first thing is here is just copied over, but down here, this template was pretty simple. It was just a file with all things set except for the base name. So here we have the base name for the class, and that's the same as our Java file. So it will put that in here in order to create that. You see here now we have start Quarkus with the installed features, and we have that at port 8080. So let's go to localhost port 8080, and that will probably not load anything, but if we go to hello, because that's one of the ones, we get hello from Quarkus with JBang dev. So that was a simple REST server that you can continue building on and creating more calls and more classes in, and that's a simple way to get started with a REST server. And so let's stop that there, and let's try test this metrics instead, because that has a little bit more functionality. Metrics. So now we have initialized that, and we run that. So if we go over again to the developer site here and look at the metrics little template here, you see that you have the base name, but you also have something down here that says number. And before it actually had this, didn't have the slashes before number, which meant that when it downloaded this, it will would remove this and set not defined or not found here. But this is actually something that you want to put into the path, because you will want to give the path a specific number in order to do this calculation. So this is again a REST service where you can do a prime number calculation. So now it has started. Let's look in this example here. Here you see that it actually has that problem now as well, because I haven't updated my system. I've reported this bug and they have fixed it. So they were really quick on fixing that. But as I have an old version, I will update that. So it says number again, started it again. Now it's up and running, and we do localhost 8080 and localhost 8080. And it should load here. And we haven't given it a number, so let's give it 1337, for instance. And that's divided by 7, so it's not a prime number. If we give it a 3, that's a prime number. So it seems to be up and working and running. So that's the example of a metrics server, or a prime number calculator. So it's a little bit more involved, but it's still very simple. But this will show you how you can set up simple REST services to do simple jobs for you. And with JBang, this is really simple to get started and get working on something that you might later on want to deploy, and you can set up a different environment for that if you like. This was what I wanted to cover in this video. If you like this video, give it a like, share it with your friends and colleagues. If you found JBang really interesting and wanted to use it for something, leave a comment with what you want to use JBang with. Or if you have any other comments or suggestions, leave them in the comment section down below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do that. And I really hope to see you in the next video.